Okay. Hi, everybody. Sorry about the delay. I had some technical difficulties. I literally just tested this yesterday and it worked just fine yesterday. And today it decided to be crazy and be laggy. So such a long haul. Let's get into getting clients on LinkedIn. Let me just get my presentation set up here. Sorry, y'all. While you wait, if you want to pop in the chat where you're tuning in from, I'd love to hear from you. And if you're already a freelancer, let me know what you do. Just pop it in the chat. I'd love to hear from you. All right. Hang on one second. I am hearing an echo. Let me fix that. There we go. Okay, so let's talk about getting clients on LinkedIn. Before we dive in, I just want to point out this method works really well for service based solopreneurs and freelancers like freelance writers, freelancer graphic designers, web designers, developers, things like that. Um, it might not work well for you. I don't recommend it for coaches flat out. If you're a coach or a mentor or someone who's trying to build a community membership, whatever, don't use this for that. This is for specific services that people can buy as a package or as a one-off service. And it also doesn't always work for every niche, so understand where your niche, the people who can hire you for your niche, are going to hang out and gravitate towards that. Some niches do better with email cold pitching, and we'll talk about that a little bit further in. But I just wanted to start with that disclaimer so you're not super disappointed. All right, so let's dive in. Oops, I double clicked by accident. Hi. If you don't know me, I'm Rachel Meltzer. It rhymes with seltzer. Pretty easy to remember. I'm an adventurous freelance writer and business coach. I started doing digital marketing so that I could through hike the Appalachian Trail. And after that, I wanted to do van life. So the beginning of my career was really about being able to be a digital nomad and go on the adventures I wanted to when I wanted to and to be able to afford those things. So this gig has really taken me all over the world, and I really feel like I built a career for myself rather than just like having a gig. I mostly do digital marketing for tech companies, but I also work with outdoor brands on their digital marketing too. So this is sort of my career path. I actually started out in education and politics in college, and a couple of years after college, I realized neither of those career fields were right for me. I hated all of it. And I really wanted to do the Appalachian Trail and van life, as we talked about. So the only way I could see after watching a million YouTube videos was becoming a freelancer of some sort. I had no experience in digital marketing, but I knew how to write well, and I'm a people person, so I figured it out. I got my first couple of gigs on Upwork in a bunch of different niches, and I realized that there were no writers who were really marketing themselves specifically for coding boot camps. And because coding boot camps were small and they had a lot of funding, usually, it could be a really good target for niching down. So I ended up niching down into coding boot camps, and I switched from getting my clients on Upwork to getting them on LinkedIn because the Upwork clients just weren't very high quality. Also, right around this time was 2020 COVID, and I got laid off from a part time job that I had because I had freelancing and not just that part-time job. I didn't qualify for unemployment, and I still had to pay rent and survive. So I really there was a fire under my ass to make it work, and that's how I figured out getting clients on LinkedIn was the way to go for me. And during that couple of years, 2020 through 2024, really, I've been upskilling. I upskill all the time. I love learning new skills in digital marketing, and I hope someday to be able to offer fractional CMO services because I know that they'll be able to pay me more. But we can talk about upskilling another time. So after coding boot camps, I really like priced out of the coding boot camp niche. I realized, okay, maybe it's time to like change my niche so I can raise my rates again. And that's how I transitioned into tech. It was pretty adjacent to the coding bootcamp niche. And a lot of what I'd written about really applied to tech as well. So I moved into tech and I started figuring out that I like who my actual ideal clients were within tech. It's a pretty broad niche and how to increase my rates. And since I've been doing LinkedIn marketing since 2020, um, the specific method I'm going to teach you today, I've started getting a lot of inbound leads and referrals from previous clients, from people who found me via search on LinkedIn, and a bunch of other ways. So that's sort of my career path and how I have made freelancing my full time job. So, today we're just going to talk about client acquisition. I have a bunch of free workshops coming up that talk about every step of the way of building your freelance business, from finding your niche all the way to the business setup checklist. So, go ahead and find those on our community events calendar if you're interested. I will send you an email after this event if you signed up from our community events calendar, with all of that information, or you can head to meltzerseltzer.com/free to find those free events. I also teach all of that stuff inside Pop Club and one-on-one coaching, my paid programs. And you can find that stuff at meltzerseltzer.com/coaching. So today, let's just talk about getting clients. First of all, we're going to talk about ideal clients. Then we are going to talk about optimizing your LinkedIn. And after that, we'll go over the difference between LinkedIn cold, I don't even want to call it cold pitching. I would call it direct outreach, and email cold pitching. Then we're going to talk about following up. This is by far the most important step. So do not skip that. And lastly, I'll talk about content marketing on LinkedIn. It's really something that you do not have to do if you're using the rest of this method, but it can help you if you choose to do it. And I'll also go over how you can spend just 1 hour a day on LinkedIn to build your business into a really steady flow. And that 1 hour a day is something that you don't have to do for the rest of your career. It's just something that's going to help you build at the beginning. All right, let's dive into ideal clients. So, an ideal client is really just the perfect client for you, your dream client. Some people call it different things, but basically, it's just someone who's going to find the perfect solution to their problems in your services. So, they're going to be able to pay you what you ask for your work. Or if you're a newer freelancer and you're trying to build out your portfolio and your client base, they might just be able to give you a well respected byline or get you major exposure, and they should be within your desired niche. If you're still like bouncing all over with your niche, sometimes that can cause a lot of problems in your business. So that's all stuff we'll talk about in the Find Your Niche workshop. And I also have a bunch of workshops and lessons on this specific topic, creating your ideal clients list, inside Pop Club if you're interested in that. I'll talk about Pop Club more at the end of this workshop. So after you've decided who your ideal client is, we want to optimize your profile to speak directly to that ideal client. So I love using examples from my coaching clients. Polly Clover, she's a Pop Club member. She has the perfect top of her profile. Basically, what you want the profile, the first fraction of the profile, like you see here for Polly, you want it to essentially be a mini sales page, or like a billboard, if you will. So that header should be optimized to show and tell people what you do and who you do it for. Your profile picture should be a clear headshot where you can actually see your face. I liked removing I currently have a background in my photo, but previously I've always removed the background from the photo to make it just focused on my face. I've never gotten professional headshots done or anything like that. I've taken them all with my iPhone camera and a tripod. And I know Polly did that this way as well. So if you don't like the backdrop you have, just try to choose something relatively uniform so you can remove the background on Canva and replace it with a color if that's what you want to do. She also has a great headline that is very searchable. SEO writer is searchable. And then it clearly explains what she does and who she does it for. And she has a call to action link to check out her website. So Polly is like the perfect example. Definitely go follow her on LinkedIn as well if you're interested in SEO at all. She has some really good content. So that is your headshot and banner and headline in a nutshell, visually. I also love optimizing your featured section. Your feature section used to be something that people would use to just put their portfolio pieces in. I actually recommend creating custom graphics like these ones. These are from Katie Harp's profile on LinkedIn. They're very simple, they're very readable, and they link out to pages on her website that help people get to her services more easily and learn more about what it's going to be like to work with her. I have something similar on my profile. Polly also has something similar on her profile. And if you downloaded the Get Clients guidebook before this, um, the list of profiles I recommend checking out that are great is in there in the Optimize Your LinkedIn Profile section. And if you haven't downloaded the guidebook yet, you'll get it in the email after this workshop. So it's also in the description. The link is also in the description box on YouTube below this video. So the last two things we'll talk about is your about section. Again, there are templates for this in the Get Clients guidebook. I always recommend making it as clear and readable as possible. Large chunks of text are not helpful. Bullet pointed lists, as much as possible, are the most useful. Using data driven proof, showing who your ideal client is and which services you actually offer, and then having a call to action at the end is really important. Something else you can do with your about section is the first 155 word characters are what shows up in the meta description on Google when someone searches your name, if your LinkedIn profile does show up in those search results. You can optimize that. So, whatever your first sentence is, make sure it's what you would want to show up in your meta description on Google. That's a really great hack. It's super easy. It will literally take you 2 seconds. You can take your about section, paste it into ChatGPT, and say, can you make me a 155 character meta description, please? And honestly, mine, I didn't even need to edit. I pasted it in the first line of my about section, and now it shows up underneath my name on Google, which is really exciting. And then the last thing we'll talk about when optimizing your profile is your experience. You should have an experience, like a singular experience that shows your business and what you offer. You can even create a page for your business, like a business page. They're free, and you don't even have to update it or like post content on it or anything. You can just create it. And that's how you get your logo to show up, just like Polly's is here and just like it is on my profile with Meltzer Seltzer. So that's definitely important to signify that you are a freelancer, even if you're part time. I recommend doing this. You don't need to like hire someone to create a logo if you don't want to. You can just make it in Canva. I have a professional one. Polly made hers in Canva. And then if you haven't already, make sure you add every single client you've ever worked with. If you've never worked with a client, just do it going forward, of course. That will help you show up in more searches. Like genuinely, it will change your search appearances will like triple if you put every client you've ever worked with, because you'll show up on all of those company pages as well, and that can get more inbound leads coming to you. I have a whole workshop about optimizing your LinkedIn profile. It's on my YouTube channel. It's called LinkedIn Bound. You can also find it in my freelance resource library if you want something specific about that. I'm also doing the LinkedIn Bound workshop again live next month. So you can sign up for that on our community events calendar if you're interested in that. All right. These are those resources. The link to this slide deck, if you want the links to the Get Clients guidebook that I mentioned and the LinkedIn Bound workshop, will be in the description of this YouTube video and also in the email that I'll send you after this event if you're attending live right now. So let's talk about LinkedIn versus email cold pitching. But before we do, I want to hear from you. Hit up that live stream chat and let me know, have you already optimized your LinkedIn profile? Is there anything on it that you have questions about? I'm happy to answer questions at the end of the call. So pop that in the chat and I'll be reading them as we go along. All right. So I would say LinkedIn direct outreach and email cold pitching right now are the two most popular ways to get clients outside of like job boards and gig newsletters, things that you don't have control over. These are two things that you mostly have control over. Obviously, if LinkedIn were to disappear, that's a problem. But these are the two main ways I generally recommend my freelancers get their clients. So the main difference is that LinkedIn is going to be a warm pitch because anyone can see your profile. And especially if it's optimized, they can learn a lot about you. So do all the things that I just told you to do about your LinkedIn profile. But this is a great way to get your foot in the door without having to do as many follow ups. I would say email cold pitching, they call it that for a reason. It is a cold pitch. The only thing that recipients know about you is what they see in your email. They have to navigate to your website or some links that you've included if they want to learn more about you, and they're often not as well received. Um, with LinkedIn, though, you do have to network. You do have to create real relationships with other humans and follow etiquette. Oh, look, a typo. You guys are seeing my dyslexia in real time. That's so fun. You're not going to be successful if you're not creating real relationships on LinkedIn. Whereas with pitching, you really don't need to create relationships. You can just pitch immediately. Um, and that is that, you know? I will say LinkedIn in most cases has about a 25% conversion rate. We'll talk about this data later on in the workshop. Whereas email cold pitching typically has about an 8% conversion rate. So it's much lower than the get clients on LinkedIn method that I teach. This data might not be true for your niche. So make sure your niche is active on LinkedIn. If people from your niche are very obviously not using LinkedIn, not active on LinkedIn, then this might not be the method for you. Short disclaimer. Typically, it takes about 10 minutes to send connection requests to everyone at a company that you might want to connect with, and you can follow up in about 5 to 10 minutes as well. So it's pretty rapidly quick, and it's kind of a numbers game. You can spit out a lot of networking on LinkedIn pretty quickly, whereas most email cold pitches, because you have to customize each one and be really personalized for each company about what you're saying, they're often going to take you up to 30 minutes to write, and follow-ups will typically take about 10 or 20 minutes. So I think that overall, LinkedIn is less time consuming and has a better conversion rate. I personally also enjoy it more because of the networking aspect, but if that's not for you, email cold pitching might be the way to go. I also will say I definitely recommend learning how to do both of these methods. And if you want to learn how to do email cold pitching, specifically, I do have lessons for that inside the Freelance Resource Library if you join any of my paid coaching programs. Um, LinkedIn is not something that we can own. Email is something that we do own. So just keep that in mind, with TikTok bans in the works. Any social media platform could be taken away, including LinkedIn, at any time. So just keep that in your mind when you're going about doing your LinkedIn direct outreach. And we'll talk about this later. Make sure you're getting email addresses from the people that you are connecting with as well. So, oh, I forgot I made this slide. Welcome. I generally recommend relying primarily on LinkedIn to do direct outreach to your clients, your potential clients. You'll mostly be using that method and then occasionally use email cold pitches if you can't find someone on LinkedIn or they're not active on LinkedIn, or if they do ask you for a pitch instead of just like a LinkedIn DM. Um, all of this information again is inside Pop Club and my paid coaching programs. So let's talk about the getting clients routine. This is the step by step of how you're going to go from that ideal clients list. You've defined your ideal clients at the beginning, you've optimized your profile for them. Now you're going to go about sending connection requests, follow ups, and tracking all that stuff to get your clients. This is a full system. You can screenshot this, or you can head to the description box below or the email I'll send you after this call to get the link to this slide deck if you want to save this image to your computer. I used to have this hanging up next to my computer at my desk on my bulletin board so that I always had it in front of me because I was using it every single day. So the first thing you're going to do again is making that ideal clients list. Then each time you want to go network, you're going to pull a client from that ideal clients list and do some direct outreach. That's either sending a connection request or sending an email cold pitch. And don't worry, the step-by-step instructions and templates for everything are in the Get Clients guidebook as well if you are already feeling lost. Once you've sent that first connection request, you are going to thank them and send the letter of introduction template customized whenever they respond to your connection request. Personally, I will just check back in 2 weeks later in my tracker. I add everything to my ideal clients tracker. You can get that for free, and I'll show it to you in a few minutes. Um, so I'll just check back in 2 weeks and thank those people, but you can literally do it whenever they accept your connection request if you want to. If you're doing email cold pitches, you can skip step 3. So, step 4 is waiting 2 weeks to ask if they work with freelancers. This is etiquette, you guys. This is kind of important. People on LinkedIn do not appreciate being pitch slapped. Do not thank them and then go pitch them. The LOI template that I recommend you use, it's in the Get Clients guidebook, is designed to respect that etiquette. It is not a pitch. This first outreach is just building a relationship. So, we're not pitching yet, okay? And it's already been 2 to 4 weeks. This is why doing this every day and having a large quantity of people in your pipeline is gonna be important so that you can get clients consistently and quickly by having multiple people in your funnel at once. If you did this with one person at a time, you would be screwed, okay? So after you waited 2 weeks to ask if they work with freelancers, you're going to reply to any responses immediately. If they respond to you, just respond to them. And by immediately, I just mean the next time you're on LinkedIn. It doesn't have to be like push notifications on your phone. Honestly, I think that's very unhealthy. You do not need to do that. Um, have it during your business hours. Just use it at work, you know? So if they did not respond to your question of if they work with freelancers, you're still going to follow up with them. I know that feels weird. I know that sounds scary, but that is the way that you are going to get clients. You have to follow up. And generally, the first follow up being 2 weeks later will just keep you top of mind and they might be able to answer that question. And there are follow up templates, like I said, in the Get Clients guidebook. Once you've followed up that 2 weeks, if they respond, obviously continue the conversation with them. If they don't respond to that 2 week follow up, then you're going to move them to step 6, where we switch to quarterly follow ups every 3 months. You're going to do those quarterly follow ups until you get a response. So you're going to follow up every 3 months, regardless of whether they responded, or until you hit 5 of those quarterly follow ups. I know that 5 sounds kind of like a lot because we've already sent them now 3 or 4 messages before that, but I promise you it is okay to follow up that many times. The majority of my clients have come from the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th follow-up in that step 6 process, and every single time they're like, "Oh my gosh, thank you for being so persistent." The majority of them did not respond before that 4th, 5th, 6th follow-up. So, it is normal. It is okay. People will not respond to you often if they do not have an opportunity for you, if they don't know the answer that they can give you, if they're not like, if they're actually truly not interested, it is their responsibility to say, "I'm sorry, I'm not interested." Say, "No, I don't want your services," or they can just block you, which actually does not affect the LinkedIn algorithm at all, which is fantastic. So, don't be afraid to follow up. You never know what is going on with them. I do recommend the 3 month follow up, the quarterly follow up, instead of following up again 2 weeks after that first 2 week follow up. Because think about your life, think about your financial situation. Does that change much in 2 weeks? No, right? So we want to be connecting with these people who potentially could hire us when it makes sense for them and their business. 3 months is enough time for something to have changed in their project load, in their budget, in the time that they have to commit to things. And so that makes sense to follow up with them every 3 months. It will also keep you top of mind, even if their budget won't change until another year later. It is so much better to be in that quarterly follow-up situation than it is to just annoy people for every 2 weeks for a month and then give up. You're not gonna get anywhere. So that's the logic behind that quarterly follow-up. Now, step 7 is to keep cycling. Like I said, you need to do rounds. So every single day you are sending new connection requests, sending follow-ups, and continuing moving people through your pipeline so that you eventually will get clients from that routine. So, if you have questions about the getting clients routine, please let me know. I am happy to help. This is my ideal clients tracker. It is a template in Notion that has Kanban boards that have every category from your ideal clients list to um, every single follow up that you're going to send, as well as like who responded on LinkedIn, who you sent your portfolio and rates to, who you set up discovery calls with, so that you can keep track of where you're at with each person and company. And then the Get Clients Guidebook, like I said, has step-by-step instructions for all of this, as well as templates so that you can just copy and paste and you don't have to feel lost. Obviously, please customize the templates before you use them. The Get Clients Guidebook also has an entire checklist for optimizing your LinkedIn profile, as well as examples and templates for that. Does anyone have any questions about that getting clients routine? If you do, pop them in the chat. I would love to hear from you. Okay. Oh, wow. Okay. So my my chat did not load in my streamer for some reason, so I am going to run through these. I love seeing where everyone is from. Also, um nice to see so many faces that I've already seen on LinkedIn and so many unique niches. Veterinarian writer. This is so cool. Hi, Erin. I haven't seen you in a while. Hi, also from Massachusetts. Okay, Kelsey asked, when you're making a featured link, do you also choose the image that appears? Okay, so this is for the optimization on LinkedIn. Let's run back to that real quick. Sorry I missed all of your messages, you guys. I was like, wow, I'm surprised no one's using the chat. Here we are. When you're making the featured links, do you also choose the image that appears? You do choose the image that appears. You can upload your own image, or you can just use whatever the social image is set in the meta description for that web page. So um I would recommend creating your own images and uploading them. That's what Katie did here. That's why you're seeing it the way that it is. Um I have a template size and examples for this inside the freelance resource library and my paid coaching options if you guys want that. Um, I didn't know about the meta description in the first part of the about. I just learned that yesterday, Michelle. So same, we are learning. um, Okay. And then if you add every client you've worked with plus your own business, won't it take up too much real estate on your experience section? I don't want to hide all of my awesome previous full-time roles. It will push down your previous work for sure. It takes up a lot of space. If you go to my LinkedIn profile, you'll see I have every role I've ever had back to my college jobs. So if you I mean, it's kind of up to you how much that matters to you. You could also there's like a way to put links at the bottom of each experience on LinkedIn. You could also just add like links to your portfolio or to your work on your clients' website so people can see those logos. But the reason I recommend doing it is so that you show up in more searches. The more clients you have, the more searches you'll show up in. And you'll also show up on their company page. So when people are looking to poach good freelancers, they'll go to a company page whose stuff they like and they'll poach you. I've been poached from Webflow, Grammarly, and Loom. And that's how I've gotten a lot of inbound leads. So that's why I recommend doing it. It's up to you. But if you want to do less legwork to get new clients, I would recommend putting all of your clients as individual experiences. It makes a huge difference to getting inbound leads. I would say for getting inbound leads, the two most important things are having your experiences on there and optimizing the headline that's right underneath your picture here. That is definitely like the two most important things that are going to make a difference to people finding you in search and getting those inbound leads, unfortunately. So I'm wondering if there's a way that you can shout out those full-time roles in your about section on your website. You could also in your banner put like formerly and then put like the logos of those full-time roles, or you could put it in your headline. Like there's some ways that you could also represent that, I think, in a good way. So I hope that helps, Leah. um, is premium worth it? From Jacqueline. It depends on what LinkedIn is doing to you. So personally, I didn't have any caps on my LinkedIn until like 3 months ago, but I've also been using LinkedIn since 2009. So I think that if you're experiencing like you can't send more than 15 connection requests in a month or whatever, definitely pay for premium. do the getting clients routine religiously with as high of a quantity as you can. I'll share benchmarks with you for numbers you should aim for in a minute. But if you're going to pay for it, I would recommend determining how long you want to pay for it because it is very expensive. And I mean, if you want it forever, go for it. That's your budget. But personally, I think if you just committed like 3 to 6 months to going ham on doing the getting clients routine, then you could sort of back off. If you could get like, I would say 100 or 200 companies um, checked off in your ideal clients tracker in that 3 to 6 months, then all you have to do after that is focus on follow-ups, and you can send new connection requests in a smaller quantity after that time. So I would just focus on the benefit of it. The benefit of it is the lower cap to sending new connection requests, and it also gives you more add notes. I love add notes, but they're not really very popular anymore because a lot of people are pitch slapping in them. So that's why I updated the guidebook to show that, and honestly, you don't really need them anymore. It used to be if you didn't add a note, no one would accept your connection request if they didn't know you because it was like a stranger danger time on LinkedIn. But now it's like, it's very much people will just accept blind connection requests now. So um, it's kind of up to you. I personally don't use it just because I'm past that phase in my career. But if you are a new freelancer, I think it could be worth it. I think Sales Navigator is over the top. If you can just get premium and not Sales Navigator, do that. That's all you need. um, just commit to it, you know. You can also write it off on your taxes, which is really nice. Um, okay. Do I have any tips for identifying the ideal people to add in contact? There often seem to be a dozen different content related people at my ideal businesses. Yeah. So, Primrose, if you look in the Get Clients guidebook, there is a list of 33 job titles that I recommend you look for and connect with. I also will say, like, it's a numbers game. Connect with as many people as you possibly can at the company that you're trying to work with, but only connect with the relevant ones. So, you can connect with, if there's a dozen content people, connect with all of them. You don't necessarily know from the outside who's going to hire you, who's responsive on LinkedIn. And if they see that you're connected with someone else at their company, they're also more likely to accept your connection request, regardless of whether you actually know that person in real life or not. They don't need to know that, and they're not going to ask around, you know? So definitely connect with all 12 of that dozen. If you see them out there, it's worth covering all your bases. Hannah, if they say no and they do not work with freelancers, do you unfollow? But also, if they do, how do you move forward in the DMs without coming across as salesy? Okay, so we are back to the getting clients routine. Let me move forward. So we are in the same place together. um, so if they say that they don't work with freelancers, uh, I move them to no chance. There's a column in the ideal clients tracker that literally just says no chance, just so that I know that I've already connected with that company and that it's not a chance, because the amount of outreach you're going to do, you're going to forget like who said no and who said yes. So keep them in your tracker, but you don't need to, and like, don't remove the connection request. Like, the more connection requests you have, the better, even if they're not like perfectly ideal. So I would just like, move it to no chance and let it go. Um, you can move forward in the DMs without coming across as salesy. I have a bunch of workshops, resources, templates, and stuff like that inside my paid coaching program in the Freelance Resource Library. You can join Pop Club for $33 a month to get access to it, and cancel anytime. Or you can do a one-on-one coaching session with me, which is $175 to get access to that. It's lifetime access, so you're not gonna, whatever, choose your own adventure in that regard. But I have a bunch of templates for it, and we have workshops for it as well. I always recommend um, just letting them know what your availability is and asking if they want to have a discovery call. There are some templates in the Get Clients guidebook for this, but if you want like the full conversation and advice on that, it's inside my paid coaching stuff. Which part of LinkedIn shows on Meta? Um, Jacqueline, I'm not sure what you mean by that question. If you could elaborate, that would be super helpful. Do you mean the meta description or Meta as the social platform, I guess is my question. Um, and can we connect with you on LinkedIn even if we're out of connection notes. You do not have to have an add a note to connect. But if you ran out of connection requests to send, then you'll either need to get premium or send a connection request uh later when you have more left, I guess. Um Nicole, when we're talking about putting every client we've ever worked with here, I'll just show you on my profile because that will be the easiest. My computer is so slow. She sounds like a rocket right now. I have to take it to get repaired next week, and I'm just like hanging on by a thread over here with the slow loading speed. So bear with me one second. Maybe it will take me to my profile. I should have just typed in my profile URL. Okay, so if you scroll down to where your experiences are, that's the featured section I was just talking about, if anyone wanted to see that. Under activity experience. This is what we're talking about with putting every client. So you can mark when you put it in, you can say that it was freelance or contract. And you can put it in for every client you've ever had. And it will show up, it will have you show up in more searches, basically. And this is sort of what we were talking about with it pushing down your older job titles and companies you've worked at. As you can see, we're only into 2024 and we've already had to scroll a lot. So it's a lot to have on your profile, but most hiring managers or people who are going to hire freelancers will look at the whole thing. So keep that in mind. Um, Primrose, do you find it valuable to state freelance in your headline, or will people understand that you're freelancing without stating the obvious? So the headline, the reason I put freelance in the headline is not because I need people to know that I'm freelancing. It's because that is what people are searching for when they want to hire me. Um, if they're trying to hire a freelancer, they're going to search for freelance. So if you want to show up in searches, that's what these 220 search appearances thing is. That's how they'll show up. And also the search appearances is like an indication of whether you're getting inbound leads. Like if people are coming and looking at your profile. Like I had 1,022 profile views recently, and that's all inbound. That's either from my posts or from my search appearances. So that's the kind of stuff that you want to see if you want to start getting inbound leads. And that's why I recommend putting freelance in your headline. And there's recommendations for writing your headline in the Get Clients Guidebook. I also have a really good ChatGPT prompt for it if you want that. I'm going to write a post about it soon. It will also be in a newsletter soon. So subscribe to the newsletter or follow me on LinkedIn if you want to see that for sure. If a lot of my work is ghost written, is it okay to put their details in the featured section? Probs worth asking them, I suppose. If you have an NDA with them, don't do it. If you do not have an NDA with them that prohibits you from sharing that you've worked for them, you do not need to ask. You can do whatever the fuck you want. I literally put all of this. Oh, YouTube's totally gonna censor me. I forgot I can't swear on YouTube. Ugh. Anyway, I've put all of these on my profile without asking my clients. They do not care. And if they do care, they can reach out to you and you can take it down. It's pretty normal in freelancing to be doing that, especially because this is such a portfolio career, you know? Um Leah. Oh, the meta description. I see, Jacqueline. Yeah, it's just that one first 150 characters of your about section. So this sentence is what shows up when you see my profile come up on Google. And it's also like a good hook for people who are just looking at my profile on LinkedIn. Okay. So, let's keep going. If you have any more questions, I have opened the chat now in a separate window next to me. So sorry that chat feature wasn't working for a little bit. Let's get back on track. Actually, while we are popped out, do you guys let me know in the chat? Do you want me to run through what it looks like to take someone from my ideal clients list in my tracker, send them a connection request, add them to my tracker, or do you guys think you can do that on your own? Let me know. If you're excited about it, I'll do it. Yes. Okay. I will I will pop it open. So, this is my personal ideal clients tracker. It is exactly the same as the template that you will get if you download my free template. This is in Notion. If you've ever never seen Notion, it's like a all-in-one project management sort of note-taking tool. I actually made my website with Notion as well. So if you're keen on that, definitely get into it. Here's your first template. So this is my ideal clients list all the way to the left. This is all the clients I want to potentially connect with. Um, and then these are all the ones that I have sent connection requests to on LinkedIn, but haven't checked in with to see if they've responded or not. These are the ones who have responded to my connection request, that I have followed up with a thank you and a letter of introduction, or yeah, that I've followed up with. And then this is where all of my other follow ups go. Um, the nice thing is when I need to get clients desperately, I can just go to the open to future pitches column. These are all people who have responded that they would like to work with me in the future, but just don't have the budget or the capacity right now. And I can just go follow up with all of these. I guarantee you I could get a client in 2 weeks based on what I have in my tracker right now. So it really is a numbers game, and it is a funnel. It's a flow. It's a sales funnel basically. So you need to get people in every single segment of the flow and continually be adding new connection requests and doing your follow-ups to move them down the line so that they get closer to the part where they can become your client. Basically anything after follow-up number 2 has a higher potential to be your client in the future. And then I also have more follow-up sections over here. I just haven't been using them as much so that it hides them. So let's run through what it would look like for you to run through the guidebook. I will also pull up the Get Clients guidebook so you can see it if you haven't already. It's just a Google Doc. I update it every 3 months based on what's trending on LinkedIn, what's working, what's not. I have people beta testing it all the time. If you have any feedback on it, do not be afraid to shoot me an email and let me know, or let me know on LinkedIn. But this is what I was talking about with all of the checklists, templates, hot takes, and the step-by-step instructions. So, in my ideal clients list, let's pick a company that I might want to work with. I'm trying to think of one that's going to have a large base. Actually, you know what? I used Kit as an example the other day. I'm going to use it again because I actually have not sent them. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's do Sendlane. Where'd you go? Where'd you go, Sendlane? Feeling really indecisive today, you guys. It's really fun for me. All right, I'm going to use Kit as an example again, just because they make a really good example, because I know for a fact they have what I'm looking for. So I open up the card for the company in my Get Clients, in my Ideal Clients tracker. These are all the people I've already connected with at that company, but I'll show you what it looks like when you go in there. So you go to LinkedIn, and then you're just going to search for the company once it loads. Sorry for my really long load times. Okay, once you're on the company page, you are going to look at people, which is basically just a list of people who say that they work at or with that company. Or employees, I guess is what it's called now. It used to be called people. So now you can see all the people that I'm already connected with and all the people that I'm not. What I do is in the Get Clients guidebook, there is a list, where is it, of people that you can connect with that might be hiring you. This is specifically designed for digital marketers and freelance writers. So if that is not your niche, feel free to edit this list. You can ask ChatGPT to make you a list of who hires freelancers in whatever your service specific niche is if you want to. or you can ask around on LinkedIn if anybody knows. So these are the job titles I'm looking for. I've been doing this for so long that I don't need the list open, but I used to keep it open side by side so that I could look. You can also search those job titles. If you click on all filters, it will bring up like custom search and you can search for job titles. The problem is every company kind of uses different job titles. So it can be a whole rigmarole with things being different at every company. So I'm looking for people that I'm not connected with yet that would make sense for me to connect with. So a copywriter and content strategist, even if it's another freelancer, even if it's just other writers, those are also great people to connect with because it can help um just have camaraderie. They might want to refer to you. They might know who does the hiring for what you offer at that specific company. I also recommend connecting with recruiters. I don't know if that's in the guidebook, but they also help with hiring. So I think that can be useful. Um, let's see, product, creative director, copywriter. Maybe I already connected with all the good people at this company. Okay, let's go back to page 1. I'll just show you who I've already connected with so you can see the job titles I was looking for. So we've got organic growth manager, head of brand partnerships, senior writer, senior content lead, things like that. That's what I looked for. I also sometimes will connect with like the brand people because they'll use copywriters sometimes for stuff, and I've done a lot of branding work. But yeah, you're basically just like sifting through their employee list to find people. Some people really like using the search feature because it's more efficient. I personally just don't, but that's just me, I guess. So what I do is I just open in a new tab anybody that I think I want to connect with. And then I go ahead and send them a connection request without a note. And even if it's just another freelancer, it doesn't matter. If I found them because of that company, I will put them in my ideal clients tracker. I paste their link in here. Obviously, I've connected with a lot of frickin' people at this company, which does generally help. I choose bookmark in Notion when I paste it so that it shows up like this rectangle, and then you can highlight the ones who have accepted your connection request. So when you go to do your follow-ups, you know which ones to click on. Okay, so once I've sent them a connection request, I go to send message on social. And then usually I will set the date for the follow-up date for 2 weeks later. Um, and then once 2 weeks have passed, I'll go and see who's accepted my connection request. So far these two have. I'm sure many more have. I just click on their link and it will open a new tab. And then if they did accept my connection request, I will message them to thank them for connecting with me. And I will send them the letter of introduction template. This person doesn't look like they go on LinkedIn very much, but that's okay. It's still worth it. 7 years and 7 months to present. Okay, so she is still a current employee. Always check if there's still an employee there because turnover is high right now. So I'll go to the guidebook and I will copy the first message template. Oops, there it is. Paste it. Make sure you delete the quotes so you're not a freak. Say, hey, Issa. Thanks for connecting. I'm a community. Well, they might like SEO. I don't know. I'll just say I'm a content writer. Freelance content writer for our tech companies. I saw you work in. What does she work in? She's a senior writer. Oh, in the brand studio. Nice. In branding at Kit. And they just rebranded from ConvertKit. So I'm going to say, how has the branding transition been? I'm loving all the new marketing I'm seeing from y'all. And then, oh, I need to update this template, you guys. Wow, good thing I'm doing this. My bad. I did not fix that. Cool. All right, and then I'm just going to send that. Note how it's not a pitch. I'm just telling them why I connected with them, and I am invested in them as a human being and their career. That is the whole point of the LOI. So that's what that looks like. I will then transition this to responded, and I will then change the follow-up date for another 2 weeks out. So once she responds to that message, I'll ask her if she works with freelancers. Honestly, I just do all of those first steps on a 2-week basis because I'm not like checking on, I have so much going on LinkedIn. I'm not going to like be able to keep track, and I don't want to check in every day. I want things to be as efficient as possible. So I just do it in my follow-ups later. So if I was going to go follow up with them 2 weeks later, I would use this first follow-up message. Hey, do you ever work with freelancers at Kit? And then if she didn't respond, I'll wait another 2 weeks and I'll say, hey, I'm taking on new clients on this date. Do you need any help? And if she does respond, I'll just continue the conversation. And after that, we switch to quarterly follow-ups if she doesn't respond. And the quarterly follow-up, I literally use the same second follow-up message template, just like over and over, because there's really nothing else to say, unless there's something that person has done or shared in their activity that I really want to talk to them about. Do I contact one person at any particular company at a time, or everyone who's accepted? Everyone who has accepted. I also pitching article ideas is different if you're doing like email cold pitching and or pitching stories. Obviously, there's an etiquette there that requires you to give people time to accept the story or not, so they have a unique story. With LinkedIn, it's all the fucking same. Just everybody all the time. And part of the reason why I just check in with everybody from that company every 2 weeks in the beginning until I get to the quarterly follow-ups is so that they're all in the same part of the funnel and I don't have to like keep track of every single person. I'm just keeping track of the company because at the end of the day, the goal is to land the company, not to land a person. If you want to be like a perfectionist, you can make a card for every single person, but it is like the least efficient possible way to do it, in my opinion. I really wasted a lot of time trying to do that. It looks like Notion works well for you. Is it your top recommendation for keeping track of this? Is there a learning curve? There's definitely a learning curve with Notion. I found it to be really intuitive. I really liked it. I used it very easily, immediately. A lot of people say that there is a learning curve and that they struggle with it. I think if you have never used it, it really helps to start with a template and then adjusting that template over and over. You could also, if you are already using something else for project management that you like Asana or something like that, you can just use that. Like use whatever you're already using, use what works well for you. If you're looking for a tool that has other stuff, you can try Notion, but if you're already using a tool that you already like, just replicate it in that. You can still open this without having a Notion account so you can see how the board is laid out and you can recreate it in like Asana or Trello or whatever you like to use. So there's really no one right solution to anything ever. You will learn. As a business owner, it just makes sense to do whatever works for you. So like I said, those resources that you just saw me use are going to be in the description box of this YouTube video and also in the email that I'll send you after this event if you signed up through the community events calendar. Jacqueline, Notion it's free, but I pay for it now because of how much I use it. I think I pay like $98 a year. So it's pretty affordable, even if you do have to pay for it. Okay, so these are the benchmarks I was talking about when we were talking about whether or not it's worth it to do premium. I advise creating a list of 200 potential ideal clients. That's what we talked about at the beginning, those ideal clients. I have an entire tutorial on creating your ideal clients list in the freelance resource library that you can access inside Pop Club and my one-on-one coaching options. Um, then you'll pick one of these target benchmarks based on whether you want to do email cold pitching or LinkedIn direct outreach, and based on whether you are a full-time or a part-time freelancer. So choose your goal based on your business. I personally did 100 connection requests or more per month on LinkedIn when I first started. I did this for 6 months straight in order to build a good base of people in my tracker. And then after that first 6 months, I sort of dialed it back to like somewhere between 50 and 75 a month. And then after my first year and a half, I was really able to cut back. And now I just don't quantify it. I just do it for half an hour a day instead. If I can. I'm doing a lot of different types of marketing because of my coaching business. But if I was exclusively full-time freelancing without doing my coaching business, I would say I probably send like 30 to 50 a month at this point in my career. So these are the new connection requests you need to send. On top of that, you also need to be doing those follow-ups that we talked about in the getting clients routine. So don't forget about that. Um, all right. So I get a lot of questions, as you as you might have noticed during this workshop, about these methods. So let's run through those real quick, and then I will be happy to answer more of your questions in the chat. A lot of people worry about connection requests not being accepted. The thing about this is, like I said, it's a numbers game. So keep that in mind. Many people are not going to accept your connection request, and you do not actually need to worry about that. I know it feels like something you should need to worry about, and it feels like it's going to mess with your like LinkedIn um reputation or status with the software itself and their algorithm. It doesn't. I have hundreds of unaccepted connection requests just sitting on my LinkedIn. I don't go through and like revoke them or anything. They just exist there, and nothing bad has ever happened to me because of it. About 25% of all connection requests are actually going to get accepted on LinkedIn. Of that, about 25%, some people say 25 to 50%. I usually see a 50% conversion rate. A lot of people, the majority of people that I have coached and that have used this method, see about a 25% conversion rate that become their client within the next 2 years. That next 2 years is because that's how long the follow-up cycle is with the get clients process. If you get to the end of the process of following up with a company, so you've done 5 quarterly follow-ups, you can always put them back on your ideal clients list and try connecting with different people at the company if you never got a response. Things change in a year or two over time. Um, so you can always cycle those people back. In comparison to that 25%, the average email cold pitch response rate is 8.5%. Content marketing has a 2-ish% conversion rate. So LinkedIn is still by far and away the most efficient, highest conversion rate way to get clients. But again, it only works if your niche is present there. So make sure you have your ideal clients list and start seeing if they're on LinkedIn. And if they're not on LinkedIn, then you'll want to do something else like email cold pitching. I will also say you only need like 3 or 4, sometimes 5 clients to have a like full-time freelance writing business. I really thought you needed like 10 or 12. I was like, Pokemon, gotta catch them all when I first started freelancing. I ended up with 12 clients at once one time. It was awful. I got super burnt out. It was a terrible experience. I just didn't say no to anything because I didn't know I needed to. So understand you really only need like 3 to 5 clients. So the maths. You will get enough clients if you're playing the numbers game with LinkedIn for sure. So that's why I always recommend getting clients on LinkedIn. We just talked about how I track when I showed you the ideal clients tracker, but it's in here as well if you decide to download the presentation and you want more information. And then this is how I spend 30 to 60 minutes a day on LinkedIn. If you want to be efficient and make this a routine, this is what I recommend doing. So you're going to start with your follow ups every single time. If you don't have anyone to follow up with, You can go through connections that you already have and start reaching out to someone that you haven't talked to in a while. I have templates for that. They're linked in this presentation that will be in the description box. Um, Personally, what I do is I spend 15 minutes sending follow ups that are in my ideal clients tracker. Usually I can get through the majority of them in that 15 minutes. And if not, like, there's always tomorrow. You will probably always have slightly too many to follow up with. So just like do your best to keep up with it. You're not underwater. You're not doing anything wrong if you're not perfect about it. If you are not desperate for clients right now, it is okay if you only spend 15 minutes doing follow ups. It is still moving people through and you will get to it all eventually. I promise. Um, After that, I'll spend about 15 minutes sending new connection requests. Typically, I can get like 5 to 10 done in that time, and the step by step is in the Get Clients guidebook, or you just basically watch the whole thing. Now, if you only have 30 minutes, you can stop there. That is totally fine. A lot of people also just prefer to not have um, content marketing and engagement a part of their strategy. So if that's you, you could just spend 30 minutes doing follow ups and 30 minutes doing new connections. Totally up to you. But the networking is the most important part. So those 2 steps absolutely must get done every single day. Or if you're gonna do this once a week or twice a week, adjust the times accordingly so that it makes sense for you. I always recommend doing follow-ups first because that's where the clients are actually coming from. So you wanna make sure that you are, um, doing those even though they're kind of uncomfortable. I always recommend doing the uncomfortable thing first. Eat the frog, you know? All right, so the green ones are optional. You can head to your home feed and interact. Don't just like things and make bullshit comments or use AI to make comments. Genuinely interact with people and build relationships. If you're commenting and you're not building relationships, it's not worth your time. You're literally ruining your reputation. Like you are actively hurting your reputation if you're like leaving AI comments. I generally do not respond to people who very obviously didn't read my post and just left an AI comment. So don't do that. you If you're finding that your feed like isn't calling to you or you're not interested or it's like not relevant to the clients you're trying to get, you can go back to your ideal clients tracker and try to interact with the people that have recently accepted your connection request um, that you've been reaching out to. That's always an option. Um, and then once you're done interacting, I would recommend spending 10 or 15 minutes on it. You could write a post, write a few posts. There are prompts, ideas, and benefits to posting in the Get Clients guidebook if you are not sure what to post. You do not need to post on LinkedIn. You do not need to interact on LinkedIn in order to get clients. You just need to do those first 2 steps, the getting clients routine that I showed you in that chart. That is what you need to do to get clients. These other things can help. These other things are nice, but they are not a requirement. So if you are like avoiding doing the getting clients routine because you don't want to post, like just don't post, just give yourself permission not to post. Nothing bad is going to happen. The only reason I post so much on LinkedIn is because I'm getting clients for coaching. Before I started coaching, I never posted content on LinkedIn. The only content I posted was like, oh, I updated my portfolio. Here's a byline I was featured in. I have availability coming up, like that kind of stuff. I never did like actual content marketing before I started coaching. So do not use me as an example. And if you do want to post on LinkedIn, make sure you are posting in a way that speaks to your ideal clients, not to your peers. You should not be posting about your freelance journey. I mean, you can if you want to, but like if you're trying to call in your ideal clients, you should be posting about things that they're interested in, what they're thinking about when they're hiring someone like you for your services, what it's like to work with a freelancer, things that you see going wrong in your industry. There's all kinds of prompts in the Get Clients guidebook. Do not be afraid to use them. Just saying, so many freelancers will just post freelance content and it just calls in more freelancers. And then they're like, why am I not getting clients for my posts? And it's because they're not speaking to their ideal clients. So make sure that's what you're doing. Um, Primrose asked, do you turn down prior clients asking for more work if you've subsequently pitched and landed a client who's paying more and you find yourself busy? What's the etiquette? So in my paid coaching programs, I teach people how to figure out what fully booked looks like to you. I also teach the Uching concept, which is something that is going to be in this Friday's newsletter. If you're subscribed, you'll see it. So the Uching concept helps you figure out how to slowly increase your prices in a way that is comfortable and secure for you so that you can get to the highest possible rate for what you're offering. Um, and without all like the scary mental bullshit that money brings to us. And the fully booked equation, which is in the freelance resource library, like I said, is a way to do the math to figure out what it looks like when you have capacity and how you might want to strategically use that. So I'm happy to talk about that inside my paid coaching program. Your question is there are a lot of caveats to it. It really depends on the situation. And without knowing what fully booked looks like to you, what your rates are, where you're at in your rates journey, what your financial goals are, I really can't answer that question. So it's kind of a custom advice thing that I would love to coach you on if you want to join Pop Club or something like that. But I can't directly easily answer that question with a blanket answer, unfortunately. Okay, does anyone else have any other questions? I'm happy to answer them. I have about 10 more minutes that I can answer questions. If it's something that feels like it's a lot to type out, um, don't worry, there's no rush. I will let you know when it's the last call for questions and I'll just answer them as they roll in. And if you, for some reason, have a question after the call, feel free to reply to the email that you'll get after this event if you subscribed in the community events calendar. And if you don't have a question, I would love to hear from you. If you plan on using these methods, which part of it you're most excited about, what you think you'll implement from this workshop, I would love to hear that. It's always nice to see how things land. Oh, thanks, Erin. I love when my actual coaching clients show up to my public workshops too. It's so fun. All right. If there are no more questions, I'm just going to dive right into the resources that we talked about today and where you can find all of that. Jacqueline asked, do you have an opinion on Monday or Asana? They're very similar. I personally think Asana is easier to use. I like Asana better, but they're very similar. I think Monday has more template options if you're looking for that. Whereas Asana is kind of hard to make templates for because they have like you have to like pay to share a template on Asana, which is like really annoying. So that's my response to that. I guess I would personally pick Asana if it was just for me, but if I wanted templates, I would probably pick Monday. Okay, so coaching options. If you want extra help and you feel like it's time to invest in your business, Pop Club is only $33 a month. It's a membership community. We host it on Circle. There are 6 forums, 6 chats, and it comes with my freelance resource library, which comes with all of those resources that I've been mentioning. We also do 1 live workshop and 2 office hours every single month. So you'll get to ask me or an expert questions during office hours. It's an open Q&A. Or we have 1 workshop a month. Sometimes it's guest experts, sometimes it's me, and it will help you grow your freelance business. Beginners are completely welcome. We also have advanced people. There are people who have been freelancing for 5 years in there. There are people who have been freelancing for 1 year. So all experience levels. It's kind of nice. You can see where everyone's at. We also check in every single week in the Accountability Buddies channel. And I also do a full community check-in every 2 weeks to check in with your goals, and you can see where everybody is at together, which is really exciting. And we have free co-working sessions. You'll also get a 20-minute one-on-one strategy call with me when you join. So it'll just be the 2 of us in a video call running through the freelance writer's roadmap to make sure that you're set up for your business. All freelancers are welcome, but as I do freelance digital marketing. Typically, that's what I lean towards for our demographic. But we do have like podcast managers and some web designers and stuff like that in Pop Club as well if you're thinking about joining. You can cancel anytime. It's only $33 a month. And it's pretty small community. We have like 43 members now, I think. So you're in good company. And if you're more interested in one-on-one coaching, currently have one slot available for long-term coaching. So that's 3 to 6 months. Um, it's just the two of us in one-on-one calls. We'll go through what you actually need help with. And I can either help you start and launch your freelance business or rehab the freelance business you already have. If you feel like you need more systems and support, I can even go through and help you build your website, help you with your portfolio. If you get your first client while we're working together, I can help you go through that assignment so you're not doing it completely alone. I can help you set up systems. There's so much more to it than just us sitting and chatting one on one every week. And I always do things a little bit outside of our actual coaching calls to make sure that you get the support that you need. If you are interested in one-on-one coaching, I'd recommend booking a discovery call. You can do it on my website, meltzerseltzer.com/1-1-coaching. You'll also get the link in the email after this event, and it's in the description box of this YouTube video, so you don't have to hunt it down. But we'll just make sure we jive before we do a one-on-one coaching call and see where you're at. So those are my paid options. If you're looking for my free resources, they're all at meltzerseltzer.com/free, or again in the description box or in the email. There's a well, I can't swear. There's a crap load of resources on there. Most notably right now, Get Started Freelancing is starting up in February. It's my free live boot camp for new freelancers. So we're going to take you through everything from finding your niche to getting your first clients, setting up your business, all that good stuff. And that starts on February 26th. It comes with a free workbook series that you can do alongside the calls. It is not just sitting and lecturing, you will actively be trying things as well. And if you're looking for other free workshops, definitely head to the community events calendar. There's a bunch of free stuff in there. We have a creative writing workshop tomorrow, Money Date, which is where you set aside time to do your money stuff like taxes and bookkeeping and all that stuff that no one wants to do, but we need to do. Our amazing host, Michelle, will be hosting that. She's actually in the chat right now, I think. And then after that, we have some co-working. There's some co-working events that are specifically themed for this workshop. So it's called Get Clients on LinkedIn co-working or accountability, where you can show up and just do what we talked about, and you can ask all the questions as you're doing it. So if you want help running through the Get Clients guidebook and the Getting Clients routine for the first time, definitely sign up for one of those accountability calls. Me and Michelle are each hosting one in February, so we can help you get through your first time of running through Getting Clients on LinkedIn. So I hope that this was helpful and leads you to even more good stuff. If you have any questions about coaching or resources or anything like that, do not hesitate to email me or contact me through LinkedIn or my website. And yeah, it was great chatting with you guys today. Thank you so much for attending this event. And I'm here for you anytime. So just let me know when you have any questions.